They're called cartridges. The bullet is a part that enters your brain if you keep talking shit. And this gun only has 5 cartridges, not 6. 'Cause they're big as fuck and only 5 fit the cylinder. So please, shut the fuck up and don't test me.
Green Room is an A24 film that came out in 2015 that is written and directed by Jeremy Saulnier. So Green Room is surprisingly a film that I actually have not seen up until this point, and luckily one of my $50 patrons, Brandon Smith, requested this film and finally gave me the push and the excuse to watch this film and actually talk about it. So I was pretty pumped up to see this film because honestly I've only heard pretty glowing things about it. And just to cut right to the chase, this film was pretty awesome. There was a lot about this film that I really enjoyed and thought was really effective filmmaking. And I think the first thing being that it really captures this claustrophobic feeling to the point where you also feel like you're as helpless as these characters that are going through this horrible situation. And a lot of that has to do with the concept itself, but also the execution of its concept. Because you really do feel the dread that is in this film. And I'm sure for people that are in a band or go to shows, this has to be like one of the top 5 worst nightmare scenarios any of you could actually go through. I used to be in a band myself, and I've played a few gigs here and there, and just to imagine anything like this happening to me is absolutely frightening. But obviously the main characters of this film are these members in a punk rock band that are like really dirt poor, and, you know, in their own words, they try to stay that way to capture the true essence of what music is all about, and they do it on purpose. But what I enjoyed so much about these characters is that, yeah, they can come off really cartoony to the point where they're a bit of like a caricature. But at the same time, it was just enough to where it wouldn't take me out. And I was actually buying them as genuine characters. And that's something that's really tough to do. They get a gig at a place that they don't know before signing up for the gig, that the owners and the clientele are essentially these crazy right-wing extremist people, and they play a song for them and their first song in their set, and it's basically like a fuck you Nazi song, and that scene was pretty incredible. I really enjoyed it. That was like one of the first scenes that made me realize I was probably going to like this film quite a bit. But this film is extremely brutal on top of that. I kept hearing that it was pretty violent, but even with that warning, it was a bit more violent and brutal than I expected. There's this one scene where somebody's arm just gets really shredded in a way, and that was really tough to see. Imogen Poots is in this film. I haven't really seen her in a lot of stuff. I saw her in Vivarium, which is a film that I don't think was that great, but it really wasn't really bad either. But she was great in that film, and she was also really good in this film. And I like how her character is kind of unraveled in this film, because at first you see her as just a character that is probably just going to get killed off or something like rather quickly. But the way that her character kind of, I don't want to say evolves, but gets a bit showcased more, she becomes just a really likable and fun character to watch. And I just like the kind of honest, rooted to reality kind of character that she plays in this film, because not only did I find her really hilarious at certain moments, but she's just a really enjoyable character to watch. Professor Xavier, Patrick Stewart, is also in this film, and when his character was first being introduced, I was a little bit worried that I was just going to see the actor Patrick Stewart and not really get immersed into his character. But I have to say, like, not only is his performance really great, and that's a huge reason as to why it's really effective, but the way that the film presents his character played a huge part in kind of smoothing his character into the film to where his kind of star power and iconic face didn't really jump out at you and kind of take you out of the film. So I kind of appreciated that level of delicacy to this film, but I don't think this film is amazing. I just think that it's a really good and fun film to watch, despite it having some really brutal moments. Because I do feel like some character decisions are rather questionable and seem just like a convenient way to move the conflict forward. And some of that kind of bothered me in the film. And also there's this moment in the third act, where shit starts really hitting the fan and the two characters that are left have to kind of decide what they're going to do. And some of the way that it was presented, I think, came off a little bit over the top and didn't feel like I was watching something that was necessarily realistic, and it kind of took me out of the film just a little bit. So there are some issues with this film that I do have, but it's still a film that I think is really enjoyable and really engaging and super intense and brutal. So I'm going to give Green Room a strong 7 out of 10. Yeah, this is totally a film that I would like to own one day on Blu-ray. Obviously, there's a lot of other films that I'll probably buy ahead of this one, but if I ever find a good deal on it somewhere, I will definitely try to capitalize on it and buy it, because this is a pretty entertaining movie that I think did a lot of things right. And by the way, for those who don't know, I just put out the monthly subscriber poll to where you guys can pick between 4 different movies that I've selected, and obviously whichever one who wins, I will watch and review. And they're all more popular films and bigger films that I've actually already seen, but for most of them it's been quite a long time since I've actually seen the film, and it also gives me a chance to actually talk about these films, because I have yet to have a chance to actually dive into these films at all and really talk about them. So if you didn't know that poll was up, please try to capitalize on it and vote on which film you want me to watch and review next. And with that being said, that's all I really got to say about Green Room. So if you really enjoy what I had to say about the film, please give this video a thumbs up and share it amongst your friends. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel to be updated on more film-related content.